Okay, clap sync on 3. 1, 2, 3.
No.
Woo! 1, 2,
Shark.
Nope.
3.
I already beat
I'm not doing
you
anymore.
on it.
Well, come. What was the line again? What's he say?
Delusion!
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Welcome.
That
to-
audio's on a peak real hard.
Oh boy, yeah, we need to
Oh,
put.
man.
We might need to put a microphone warning
Just a
or
little, like,
headphone warning. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
headphone warning. Welcome to another delusional episode of the Effin' Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Bryce, Nathan, Mason, Dylan.
Mhm.
And
Never
we.
know what order it'll be.
I know you never do. It's never in actual chronological order.
Mm.
The chronological order actually would be right now, actually, unless Price is older than Mason. I don't remember.
No.
Yeah, chronological order is actually this order.
Hmm.
Huh.
Well, with the Dewey Decimal
It doesn't
System.
matter. Please continue.
Delusions! Price, what movie are we talking about today?
We are talking about the Netflix original "Devil All the Time,"
The
starring.
Devil.
The Devil all
I don't
the
care.
time.
Drop the.
It's not cleaner. It's not cleaner.
Starring Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson and do we count? Was it Skarsgård? What's his
Bill
name?
Skarsgård.
Yeah, that's it.
and
Also got that,
Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Bucky.
Bucky.
Whatever his name is.
I'm always forgetting that.
But I'll go ahead into the summary. It's basically an epic style kind of movie where it tells like a long span of time, ranging from Tom Holland's dad and his time in the war and coming home, to centering on Tom Holland and a bunch of another group of characters. It's not really like Tom Holland is the main character, but it's about everybody else as well. It's basically just it's really hard to like neatly wrap it in together, but basically it's just about how religion is affecting a lot of destitute people in, it seems like the South or West Virginia. That's what it was.
Which is funny because they want this to be the South so bad, but then they have to keep being like, "Fuck, we're in West Virginia."
They have that accent and everything there. If you've been in the backwoods in
Yeah,
West Virginia,
no, West Virginia is the
it's a
fucking
terrible
woods, and that
place.
place sucks. But
I would live in Florida before I would West Virginia. West Virginia.
You know what? I'd give you that. I
That's
actually
easy.
hate West Virginia. I've traveled through there. and
Yeah.
So any West Virginia listeners, fuck you.
Sorry.
Sorry. We will exile a whole state from our watchers. Our listeners, though, if you're
it's
listening.
not all their fault.
No, it's not.
Well, this was also in like the 50s, right?
Yeah.
Surely not
Yeah.
much has changed, though.
Maybe not.
And also, and knock another thing out, the reason I picked this movie is because I watched it on release back when, in my opinion, Netflix originals actually meant something, when it was something you may actually want to watch and giving you something different rather than the standard celebrity fare
Oh,
action
what about
movie
Squid Game?
you've seen all the time. I'm talking movies.
Oh, yeah, the movies,
not
movies been
TV.
off the rails for a minute.
But I picked it just because I remember it being really dark, and I really like dark movies, and I just remember really liking Robert Pattinson more than anything. I remember him stealing the show for me, so that's why I picked it to rewatch it, because it's neat rewatching movies that I just like that you watch for fun, but then you watch with a critical eye and see if they kind of hold up with each other, and that's why I picked it. And I've been really wanting to watch it for
2 years.
two
years.
seasons
You've been
now.
spitting at it for a minute.
So I want to just go ahead and jump in on the Robert Pattinson thing.
Get me.
Because I feel like you
Delusions.
mentioned that at some point before it actually got picked. And that made me like think like I need to pay attention to his acting, like, you know, what's going on, like, because apparently it's going to be good. I really don't think that he did all that great, and I feel like his character doesn't really stand out that much. I don't know. Like, I feel
think
like
he-
so many of the other characters are so much better than him.
I think
in
you
this
just gave a
film.
Reddit unpopular opinion right now,
Mhm.
because I think us
Cash
three
in.
all agree, right? That don't we think he's like the best character?
I don't know that he's the best character, but I do really like his character.
Yeah.
He's second. He's
he-
up,
To
he's up
who?
at Holland.
If anything,
I mean,
Nathan, you might be
he's
onto
good.
something to say that like they didn't give him enough time,
Yes.
maybe to learn.
I
that's
definitely-
that, like he's
Yeah.
barely in there. He doesn't really say a whole lot. It's not like I thought he was going to be some kind of like impassioned and interesting preacher. I think he barely has any
He's got
like
three
interesting
scenes.
sermons or anything. Yeah,
Yeah, he's got 3 scenes, all of which I think are pretty impactful. He's got the original dish where he talks
Yeah,
about chicken livers, and he has the
he
dish
cucks
where
grandma.
Yes, he does.
then he hangs out with the girl,
Yeah.
and then he gets
Spider-Man.
shot. Yeah, so like those 3 scenes, he could have had a little bit more than that.
Well, he gets a fourth, I would say, when Tom Holland's following him around.
Yeah,
That was a montage,
it's more
really.
right. It's closer to a
You
montage,
see
but
his pot belly. Come on.
case in point to it is I think that we all, regardless, agree that Robert Pattinson definitely could have had more time to flesh out
Yeah.
this character.
Yeah, we
because
all-
I think that it's more potential versus like shown and then we got too much and we didn't. So right, and there's several characters and storylines in this film, right? But if we're looking at like what's presented, other than Tom Holland's character for me, I would say yeah, Pattinson's is the best because it's what's shown is left wanting me more. While the other ones I felt like I'm like okay, I've got the idea, I've got enough, and I'm also like just it's okay. But really, the only plotline left, or the only character I wanted more screen time really throughout this whole thing was Pattinson. And the entire time, and only just because I want to see. Honestly, I want to see more sermons. I want to see delusions, all that
Yeah,
stuff screaming on it.
That's my biggest hate
Right.
with this. Is like if you're gonna say like he's one of the best characters, and it's just like, well, I was wanting to see more out of it, and definitely like more sermons or something that felt like it actually had like some more gravitas to it, because the trailer, even the trailer that we watched, made it seem like there was going to be a lot.
It does make him
like
very front and center in a lot of ways.
And he wasn't. Like this, I'm going to go ahead and say that this movie disappointed me in what I expected versus what I ended up seeing on screen.
Yeah. No.
And that's what you want too. Is that you want that like
Disappointment.
I like the beginning of the movie with like the dad, and I think it kind of sets up Tom Holland's character really well. But I just kind of wanted to see like the battle between like Tom Holland and the preacher with the sister, and like the way religion kind of affects all that.
Mm-hmm.
I got really irritated, especially this time watching it, with the side story of the
sister?
girl and the guy,
The
Sandy.
Sandy
and the guy, and then
Yeah.
like they had a storyline, and then
Killer
the
Cup.
cop had a storyline too, and
Yeah.
like I didn't care
Sebastian's, yeah.
anything about that personally.
Right, and these were the other storylines I remember feel like were very fat this time around. Where I
Yes,
was like,
very
this is
fat.
This is just. I remember thinking like by the time Tom Holland starts. So spoilers, obviously, at this point.
Because on a killing spree.
Yeah, when the devil and all the timing starts happening, aka Tom Holland just says, "This cast, we need to slim it up."
Mhm.
Pattinson done. Sister, well, oops, that wasn't me,
That wasn't.
That
meant
wasn't
to be,
me.
But
but it could have been. And then we get into like that whole crew. Presumably Tom Holland kills more people. on screen.
I think that Tom Holland though, like when I was asked what this movie was about, I just said vengeance.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much all this movie is. But
Yeah.
you can't just have vengeance against
nothing.
who?
Against
I mean,
people that you
right.
no,
don't
it was
have
just
any,
Robert
like-
Pattinson.
Right, it
Yeah.
needs to have emotional fuel
If you,
behind it.
yeah, if you don't have Sandy and her little cut guy.
Yeah, if you don't understand how much of a monster these people
Yeah,
are, to
right.
like,
some villains.
This
fully
is just-
deserve.
This is just right, like Spider-Man on a killing spree.
Was it
Yeah,
a
you're
little bit
right.
jokey?
This is
Yeah.
very much vengeance because it tries to make you have a cast of people that you hate and despise for a multitude of reasons, and then it has the main character come through and literally just eliminate every single one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really the John Wick of Tom Holland's
Don't
career.
you dare.
I mean, you
Don't
just
you
set up all the
fucking dare.
pins, and then they said, "Well, you have all the reason to dislike him. Take him down." And then there's like, okay, and then he does. He starts picking them off one by one.
One thing that Tom Holland was not able to do was off one of the other really cool characters, and it was the Spider Preacher, the guy that had his little
Oh,
handicap
yeah.
partner
Yeah. Well, he got his
that was maybe the most religious out of
all. Of them. Right.
of these people, the most
Well,
righteous.
Religious.
Right.
Well, yeah, in his beliefs anyway. And like, if you say that Robert Pattinson wasn't number one, I almost wanted more out of him as well. I wanted more out of I can't even remember his
Well,
name.
I don't see him as I don't see him portrayed as a villain. I see him portrayed as a mentally ill person who is enraptured with religion in a very negative way.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Like that, I don't think that you should. I think his character was right to have just been like mentally ill and not a villain.
Sure.
I will say that the scene right after he kills his wife and he tries to resurrect, and headphone listeners beware. And this episode's
Yeah.
getting loud.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. So that scene where like literally he's talking with his cousin, I think, is a perfect.
talking with him and being like, "I'll
Yeah.
just tell the cops."
Yeah,
Yeah, like-
that you murdered your
His
wife.
cousin's
and
like,
tried to resurrect her.
and he tried to resurrect.
Also, really bold of him being A, handicapped, B, in
Just
the back
watched him
seat,
get murder
and
someone.
telling him, hey, by the way, you're going to be locked up for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I would have waited until I was out of the car.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have
Well,
said
it's-
anything,
do we
actually.
ever know what happens to him?
To
Not the handicap
It's a wheel.
guy.
Yeah.
No,
I
we
don't
have no idea.
remember.
Because he's just left in a car that he can't drive, I presume.
He'll just take a nap.
Yeah,
And I don't
he
know
didn't
about,
seem too bothered by any of this. So.
and I don't know about you all, but it felt to me like almost in a way that comedies are, that it's like we always talk about like Super Troopers, like comedies like that, where it's basically like scene, laugh, scene, laugh, scene, laugh, scene,
Yeah.
laugh, and they're loosely tied together with a plot.
Uh-huh.
This seemed like the same kind of setup, except like scene, something dark, scene, something dark, scene, something dark.
Right,
and
scene
then
drama,
all-
scene drama, scene drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel like too connected, especially when like you had the storyline going through like with one character, and then like it jumps back to another character, and it kind of like evens out with the storyline, and then possibly goes back to another one. Like it didn't feel well connected. Like we were talking about Baby Driver last week about how it had a really good flow. Like this movie did not have that in any way
this,
for me.
This in a lot of ways feels like 6 to 7 short films stapled together
Mhm.
that
How
are
do you-
sequels on each other.
What do y'all think of the narrator that just would randomly
I
like, chime
love
in?
the
Huckleberry
narration.
Finn narrator?
I love that,
No,
actually.
I'm actually with
I
you,
thought
Steve.
that
I liked
was the
it too.
storytelling, like, at
Yeah.
its finest.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the thing that's like trying to build a through line
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying to make it stitched together as though it's somebody telling you a story,
Yeah.
even though like who is this person?
That was-
who are you
that was-
embodied in this story?
Right.
I think that was probably my favorite part, especially because it would like give you those nods of like whenever Tom Holland and Sandy were like at the the standoff. As soon as he was able to shoot her, it snapped back to the guy being like,
Now, what
"We
Sandy
couldn't
didn't
really
know-
trust Sandy after
Yeah.
this moment." So
Mhm.
then he just loaded her shit up with blanks.
Right.
The only time like I felt like the narrator really cheapened it was there was 2 times I remember in particular before the daughter girl killed herself and when the Sandy was about to get shot, when the narrator told us was like, and that's when she thought like maybe I shouldn't kill myself, and then she accidentally
And then
does.
she tripped off.
And
of
then the same
bucket.
thing with Sandy, and Sandy like this is when Sandy knew that like she wanted to get out of this life, and then she dies. Like
Yeah, he thought that was a little cheap.
Well,
Yeah.
what about the
it's like a little cheap emotional
the
punch.
kind of telling you ahead of time moment of the girl dropping her child off at the like the
that was the last
grandparents.
time.
It's like that's the last time
Yeah.
that she saw them. And
Right.
that was said long before. Like it
She actually
had
gets
that
killed.
scene,
Right.
but then it ends up having that scene
Repeated.
again later,
Yeah.
repeated.
I remember
before
thinking.
it ever shows you what actually is going.
It makes it a
down.
little darkly tragic, which I kind of
Yeah,
like.
Shakespeare.
Yeah, but I think to your point, I think you're right. It does spoil the dark turn on it eventually. Like I feel like you got to build right because if I'm using my favorite word in film, juxtaposition. If we're looking at the highs and lows here, like you got to give us a little room to hope, for the
This
dread to
movie
hit.
has no hope in it, though.
No, but I think at times it wants to have just a smidge just before it hits you again. But like case in point with the
Yeah,
sister killing
yeah.
herself, it's like, and then she realized maybe she doesn't want to do this. And then little clumsy Sally goes and trips off the
Oops.
bucket. I know.
Whoa!
Whoa! Falls up. For the record, how did that land for you? Because I remember thinking I felt a certain kind of way when I first saw the sister unintentional suicide
That was
scene.
such bullshit. Like
I
felt
was
bad
mad.
for that.
So, I guess I'm just always surprised in film, and maybe I don't know.
That's a way to word
It
it.
seems really easy, I guess, to hang yourself. A lot easier than I would think because
Yeah.
she was really only barely off the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I mean, there's also plenty of movies where people manage to like hold on for a little while and like somebody might find them in time or
Yeah.
there's all kinds of times that it's like, oh, it's not that bad, but this time barely trip, you're
Yeah.
done.
Done.
So I don't know.
Listen, people can drown in 3 inches of water. Why can't Sally Slippery or whatever her
Slip
name
on
is?
6 inches of air.
Slippy Sally.
Yeah, I mean clearly she got the important part right. She got the noose nice and sturdy. At that point,
she had it tight.
She had that-
You
that
could
thing was
tell
tight.
it was really
Yeah.
tight around her.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Say what you will, this girl was efficient in this.
Okay, please continue with the review.
But other than Sally Slippery or whatever her name is, there's just the parts I find really entertaining is the vengeance. I'm a Batman fan. There's a lot of vengeance
This
going
is
on.
Batman in West Virginia in
Yeah.
the 1950s.
This is, I mean, really, like it's when the dad goes and says you got to pick your right time, and then he goes,
Yeah.
and he finds them, they're just chilling out eating whatever the hell, And the guy already knows. As soon as he sees him stomping up, he's just like, motherfucker. He's already got, his friend wants nothing to do with it.
That might have been my favorite part
That's
of
my,
the movie.
that's probably my favorite part.
When he just beats the fuck out of that guy at the
Uh-huh.
picnic table.
I mean, sure, but at the same time,
Makes
like,
no sense.
No.
Like, how does nobody stop that guy?
No.
They have a shotgun.
Guns.
They have a
sitting
shotgun right there, and
Oh,
three
it
other
wasn't just
dudes,
them.
too.
And,
Yeah.
and we've already seen that this little like backwoods part of the country doesn't care. Your
See-
body will not be found. You are done if somebody wants you to be done.
I think it's
Yeah.
the thing though, but like, so yes, I'm with you. Like in the context of movie watching, I'm like, these boys just jump him after he jumps this guy. But having been in small town South enough times, I've seen guys who are like, I don't want to get fucked. I don't want to get fucked up. Like the boys have been there. The boys said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it several times at a county fair, almost yearly actually. So that part I was like believable. I'm like, I don't care if that shotgun's there. It's near the guy, and that's within punching territory, and they didn't want to get punched.
I thought it was awfully bold too. Of like while they were praying, which I imagine this town is also a very
Yeah.
big praying town and very religious. While Bill Skarsgård and his son are at the pray log.
Pennywise and Spider-Man hanging out.
Those two hunters just come up and are like, "Oh, look at this fucker! I'm gonna go home and."
I'm gonna bang his
Get
wife.
off.
Yeah.
And then the other goes, "Come on, man!
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
They can
Her rape's
hear
not
you."
so cool out
Like-
loud.
Like I mean, are they that much of an outsider? They did say that
Right,
they,
they said they're
weren't
like
from here.
Right, because they're not from there.
They
He's
weren't-
like a lawyer.
They
I
were the only
guess,
ones that
so.
didn't have kin here
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
But still, you're just like, damn, okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you're top. Here's what I think this movie, in a lot of ways, gets right on like not so much the acting side in specific, but the culture of like, and I know this is West Virginia, but it's adopting that northeastern Southern culture still,
Yeah.
where this is very Southern Baptist culture. I guess Southern Baptist is the right one for it, right? Bryce, I'm gonna look to you on that if that's the right.
I think so. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know ones that invite people to put spiders.
Yeah,
on
the
their faces
heretical-
and stuff.
Open jars of
Yeah,
spiders.
the far end.
How
of-
mad was that normal pastor too? Like that's his church. Now he has a fucking
And he's
spider.
like, I got
problem."
spiders everywhere. No, I know. I thought the
Those
same
are some
thing.
Good sized spiders.
Yeah, I
too.
know.
Yes, they were.
You know how annoyed I would be if I
Well,
said.
I mean, they kind of look like those big like garden spiders
Yeah.
that you'll see like outside your
It
window
doesn't
or
matter.
something.
Oh, you think they're gonna find their way outside?
Yeah, no.
Well, I'm just saying
those things are
those
perking
things
up.
aren't actually that dangerous.
No.
So
You know,
it's probably
there's
alright.
gonna be a trillion spider webs in every like crevice of that place, and they're gonna be gorgeous.
As
Yeah.
if there weren't already.
True.
I know that's true. But now every time you sit down, you're gonna be looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna every time you feel a little. Tick, tick,
Well,
Oh.
and you know that preacher didn't do that just one time because he got his
Yeah.
face all swole up.
Yeah, from
bit.
getting bit by
From
one.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is dropping spiders in that church.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple.
Maybe
well,
it's,
well,
maybe it's
every-
a good
probably every
turnaround
Sunday.
business.
Yeah.
Maybe he also wrangles spiders. So after he does it, he waits a few weeks
so
when
he
they
comes out.
become a problem,
Yeah.
and then he comes and gets them all again.
that's
I don't
honestly
know.
that's the kind of pyramid scheme that he would run.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. But
Play's my favorite.
I do think that the minor Southern or the Southern culture atmosphere of it is done fairly well. Also with the accents as well. None of them get too foghorn leghorny. No, none of them get too.
I liked him.
None of them get too Gentile gentleman. What's his face from Baby Driver?
I thought you were gonna say
Man,
Brother
I-
Rock.
Kevin
Oh.
Spacey.
I'm
Spacey,
gonna
yeah.
go counter this, and I wish they had gone a little bit
A
more.
little deeper,
Because,
but
like,
it wouldn't make sense in West Virginia.
with y'all talking about Pattinson and stuff, it's like I feel like he didn't
He
really
had-
lay it on as
He
thick
had
as
a
I
weird
would.
twang though.
I
Yeah,
like-
he did
it
have a
was
twang.
weird,
Yeah.
sure, but
Knowing
it's
where his
like,
his normal voice is, though, I'm like, it's not bad. That's pretty good.
I liked it because it's like his voice just sounded like kind of southern, but
pitch.
like really like smarmy,
Yeah.
like he was just like he just encapsulated just I don't know evil, I guess. Like I said, he was easily my favorite.
Why did he have to do
Uh-huh.
grandma like that? Honestly.
Yeah, he cucked Grandma.
Bruh,
hard.
that was
can we-
awful.
He sits there and he gets the good juices.
I
and
personally think it's because I think he wanted all them to himself. In all honesty, because I think he tasted it before finishing his thought.
I think
and then
Holland
he
is
cleaned
right
the
on
whole
this.
plate. Yeah.
I think he's like, no, he does want them all to yourself, and I think he's actually.
But he made a point.
I know he was
Like-
just like these poor people bringing grilled cheese sandwiches to my barbecue, like. This grandma goes, I'm so embarrassed, and I'm like, oh man, I've heard that line a billion times from every Southern lady I know.
Yeah,
Well-
you don't want to be the butt of the church.
You don't want to be at the butt of the church. unless you're the butt.
The caboose.
Well, y'all ready for the question?
Yes.
You have the
Do you
question
have any
ready.
trivia for us?
Yeah, where's the trivia, buddy?
Okay, here's one. Robert Pattinson, they insisted that they have a stunt double for him when he fell into the pews. He did it himself. I guess that's
Whoa!
true.
Method actor. Tom.
And he also didn't take any inspiration. Like he didn't take his
yeah.
voice from like anybody else. Apparently.
Well, that tracks. It didn't feel like it reminded me of anything necessarily.
But anyway, question: who do you all think had the most tragic story in this movie?
I got it.
I'd say it's
Okay.
the sister.
No, that's wrong. But sure,
I mean, that sister was genuine.
she's
Her
got-
mom got
no, she's got-
off
she's
in the
got pretty bad.
woods.
Yeah.
Her dad.
Oh, hang the sister, not the. Not
Yeah.
Sandy.
And then she
Okay.
fell into.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. She probably has it worse.
Yeah. She's like spending, some amount of time every week, like at her mother's grave too. Doesn't even know if her father's alive or dead.
Gets taken advantage of in it by the one place that she found peace and solace.
She might have been the only innocent one in this. I even think Grandma had fucked up at some point.
Yeah, I mean, Grandma
Like,
clearly did some poor raisins.
Not for this girl.
See,
though. Like,
that's who I was gonna pick was Grandma because I think she had the most tragic personally because
Watching
her
son die.
like her son killed himself. Her
Granddaughter.
first daughter-in-law died of cancer. Then her granddaughter killed herself. Tom Holland runs off after killing a bunch of people.
she still has her
Like,
husband.
Yeah, Uncle Erskine.
No,
Yeah, it was her
and
husband.
he's like not even around. Like he's on the porch.
Oh, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not malicious at least. He's just kind of chilling.
Well, wasn't there a scene where he was like sleeping on the porch because he had like been out late that night playing cards or something like that?
Probably.
and
What
didn't
else you
wanna,
gonna do
like,
back
wake
then?
him up coming in.
Probably.
Okay, my super duper serious answer is the guy that Winter Soldier kills with the pistol. The second
Oh
guy.
yeah, who was he?
Bobo.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like staring at the kitchen cabinet.
Yeah,
That's
this man.
That was the gangster's bodyguard.
Yeah,
Okay.
bodyguard. So that's his boyfriend. But
Yeah.
okay,
I
so
agree. Like-
First of all, he's gay in an area
How do
that
you
is not going
know?
to. He's gay. He's gay in an area that's not going to accept him, and he's sitting there just trying to get by. He can't even eat fucking scraps before homeboy. He said, "Don't eat my scraps," and then he's fucking all chopped up and he's ready, and then he has to put it down, and then he welcomes this man into his
That's a
home,
terrible
literally
answer.
offering, being just the gentlest guy, and Winter Soldier offs him because I guess
Because he
he's
wants a
there.
gun? I
Right,
don't know, yeah.
motherfucker, he could have took that gun up and shot him, and then not worried about that guy. I mean, I guess he may have eventually had to fight him anyway. But
I think that was a wow factor because I
Speak-
didn't understand.
Like why he decided to do that.
Right,
he
Like,
wasn't
no,
even
it's like,
looking at him.
I know, and he's just talking to him, just being like, "Yeah, you ever wonder, you ever think about?" And
He
then
was like
gets-
mentally slow, I think, too.
I
It was just
know.
kind of like a. Alright.
We say lower functioning nowadays. Mason, I know you don't learn that at Warren East, which is ironic
Don't
considering
tell
how
him what
often.
school I went to.
But no, I would say that guy.
I like
Actually,
that
I
answer.
felt sad when he actually got killed. I won't lie.
I
That
felt
one I was-
confused.
I was
felt
like,
sad.
why? I'm like, this guy's a fucking teddy
He's
bear.
a nothing character.
No, I cared, but also the real answer is probably Sandy. Other than that, Sandy has to be a part of a relationship where she's used as bait and terrorizing all these people, and yeah, she probably gets off on it a little bit. She's definitely not like perfect here,
I
but
mean,
she's
she-
very clearly
I
trapped.
feel like she was into
At the
it
start.
at the start.
At the start, yeah, but then she, you know,
Then she got
you
feels.
get over your head,
Yeah.
and then you see all this go down, and then for her to, get popped.
Man, talk about a really gory scene too. The guy where it's just like,
Oh, the dick's cut off.
Yeah,
and it's blood? yeah.
woo.
Yeah, that scene. I like how all
Yeah.
movie they're like nudity in this rating. I'm like, prove it. And there's like the titties are only in photos.
Only in photos.
Fuck you. And the dong is cut off
On an actress
This
that
movie's
is
fucking with me.
known for
for
that.
the nude. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like Samara Weaving's nude sister.
Riley Keough.
Yeah, like
She's in
this-
everything.
She is,
topless,
and she gets. I
basically.
know she's the Ava Green of the Samara Weaving clan, aka the Margot Robbie, the Samara Weaving, and then like.
Did Samara Weaving get naked at some point?
She has some nudes out there, but that's not important. So anyway,
Just please get into the shape of the movie, Dylan.
so the shape of the movie,
God.
that's fat, thin, and perfectly fit. Riley's looking kind of fit, but anyway, I'll lead
Always.
off. This movie, kind of chubby. I won't lie. I remember thinking it was right around like I think it's like the 40-minute mark, or something like that. By the time we actually get to Tom Holland being the real main character, and I'm like, holy fuck! They gave this guy a whole, not even a short film. This is.
It was Bill Skarsgård.
I know
For the first
40
third of this movie.
Right, I know. And like
Yeah.
if you put that on a storyboard, I'm like, sure, that's a hell of a setup. But then I remember thinking, that's a long time. And all I can remember hearing was, my wife didn't say this about the movie, but this is just a relevant thing. She's like, movies are too long for these setups to be taking a whole movie to set up the movie. Fucking sick of it. She didn't say that about this movie, but that's how I felt. I remember thinking 40, I think it was like 42 minutes in, and I'm like, we're just now getting to Tom Holland, and he hasn't even started deviling all yet.
Yeah, I don't
Fucking
doubt that a
ridiculous.
second.
No.
I think
Yeah.
that's about right.
Which sucks because the first part is really good, but you gotta trim that up. You gotta trim it up, guys. That movie's chunky up the front. It's got the belly. No bush though.
I think that it's
Take
chubby
that
as
off.
well, but it's also like I appreciated Bill Skarsgård almost as much as anyone else in this movie because like he played that dad that you would be scared of having not doing anything wrong. Like, so he played such a good character. You know, like that scene where he just beats the hell out of that guy
Yeah.
because if they want to start it, then you got to finish it. Blah blah blah. Like,
That's a southern.
have we not all heard that from like friends of fathers or something? Like,
Yeah, definitely not my dad.
He kills a dog too.
he does kill a dog, which
Yeah.
we haven't talked about that one yet. But I do think that
It was
it's a
John
little
Wick's
bit
dog. That's why
chunky
he had to go.
with some of those like excess storylines. That's
Yeah.
where I would have trimmed it up a little bit. I think that the intro was fine, but
Sandy and the gang probably gets too much screen time.
Sandy gets a little bit too much. I didn't care
Winter
much about
Soldier
that.
gets a little too much run time.
Sebastian, dude, he was huge.
Dude's
His
yoked.
face was big.
I know. Yeah, it looks like
He's
they
been in
played
Pam
it.
and Tommy lately. He's been in that Fresh movie on Hulu. He's been in a lot of stuff just in the past year.
Good for you, Sebastian Stan. You're a good actor, and you deserve that.
But he was never this big in
No.
anything I've ever seen him
No,
in.
but he was Yoki in this one.
He was thick.
This movie's also fat. I mean, I like the beginning. I think it sets a good tone for the rest of the movie. Where I really want to trim stuff is on those side stories. Maybe give them one scene, but that's all they need to be. Like I'm focused on the Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, and religious dynamic. That's what I want from this movie. And it just gave us way too much. I understand that's like part of it is those side stories and that's what they want to tell, but to me that's not what I wanted this movie to be, so very fat.
Yeah, I think the whole like cuck serial killer shtick,
Serial cucker.
like that whole thing, I think he could have removed it entirely. Like I think
Yeah.
take that out and instead just make it more about the religious stuff and just how like messed up the preacher is,
Or add another
idiot.
preacher.
Yeah.
I mean, really, because the Sandy storyline and the and Bucky storyline. Sorry, he's gonna be Bucky to me.
I think they only exist to be like a neat callback whenever Tom Holland comes. to
Right,
the
a neat
blazing.
callback and outro, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, the movie could totally wrap after he kills Preacher and they just do something a little different, right? He just goes back home and then just buries the gun, called a day, you know? Like,
Yep.
you don't even need to have the whole follow-up chase, shoot, blast, and all that stuff. It's pretty extensive.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's do scores, everybody.
Nathan, you're on the end of the snake here, buddy.
I don't know. I think I'll land at like a 6, maybe. I mean, it's
Need
not
more
a
snakes.
bad movie, but I don't know. It didn't really like wow me in the ways that I think expectation here was definitely higher than what I ended up watching.
Mm.
So that's not done it any favors.
This movie probably sits at like a 7.5 for me. I can't tell if I was higher or lower on this on the second watch. That's what's interesting about it, because I've seen this movie before. I remember thinking, I'm like, that movie was a lot. And then I just remember thinking, like, the plot overall, by the time it's all said and done, I'm just like, oh, it's just Tom Holland kills everybody at the end. So if somebody said, well, tell me about that movie, and I'm just like, oh, Tom Holland sees some no-good dirty bastards and then kills everybody, I guess. But that being said, it's still fairly entertaining for most of it. So, and the acting's good. I think like the setting is all done well enough where I'm not getting into the qualms of it, because especially with it being relative to Southern culture and that Southern Baptist culture, I still feel like I'm like, nah, this all feels very familiar.
Kelly asked me, we watched this together, and she goes, This is exactly what your church reminds me of. No, it's not.
I believe Kelly.
I mean, I never grew up around church stuff to begin with, so
okay.
I'm not
So you
familiar.
don't know anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, I went to like church with my cousin a couple of times, but I always thought it was really weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, more or less same.
To me, religion is a very weird thing, and I don't understand it.
It was funny. There was a song, one of the first songs they sung during Bill Skarsgård's part.
It was a hymn.
And it was
Yeah.
it was a song, and like we still sing that at my
Yeah.
church. I knew
No.
the whole thing.
No, and it's not a bad song. It's a very normal song. I know which
Yeah.
one you're talking about because
Are you washed in the blood? That's what it was. Are you
Yeah.
washed in the
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Oh god,
no, and it's a very
Yeah.
normal hymn song. I'm kind of with Nathan. I didn't go to church much, but like I would hear. I've always just thought churches like this were like fictitious, where like you don't really
Yeah.
like
Churches
there's
aren't
no
real.
way. There's
Right.
no way
They
that
can't
this
hurt
is
you.
a
this
real
is what
place.
it's like, right? This is
But
where,
then you watch The Kingsman, and then that whole scene with the shoot 'em up scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, maybe there's something
Maybe
to this.
Right.
Oh, I do think these kind of churches are almost certainly real and
Very real.
ubiquitous across the country,
Fresno,
especially.
Yeah, I've
It-
been to one and not mine.
If
It
you,
is.
if you go, I think if you get rural at all,
Yeah.
like you could very
Oh, you easily stumble into this.
you could
church,
very
yeah.
easily find a cluster of radicalized religious people,
Mhm.
like for sure.
Yeah.
Mason, you didn't give your score, by the way.
Yeah, I've only ever seen this movie twice. I do remember being super high on it the first time, because
It's good.
I thought again that the storytelling and narration were fantastic. I loved all the accents. I liked how, in my opinion, over the top the sermons were
Mm.
and everything like that. On second watch, I'm sticking to that. I think nothing really changed for me besides the Sandy, the cop, and the weird guy who's always got a gun on him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I'm probably still just going to land at an 8. I think that it's just good enough. It's definitely a little long. Bryce told us right after the camera went off last week. Guys, it's only 2 hours and like 15 minutes. It's only 2 hours and like 23 minutes.
Yeah,
I didn't
it
say
kept going
only, I
up.
said it was pretty long.
No, first you said
First
it's a
you
long
said
one.
it's a long one.
Yeah.
And then
And then later you were
afterwards,
like, oh, it's only 220.
"Oh, it's only 14 out. Guys,
Yeah.
you guys can knock that out this week.
Guys,
right?
it only if you started on Tuesday, you'll be able to finish it on Friday.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to like begin this movie like an 8 or 9. I remember being really high on this whenever I do have the button here as well.
You ain't gonna fucking press
And
it.
if you can't tell from what I've been saying this whole time, it did not hold up on rewatch at all. It's super fat. If I was not watching this with Kelly, I would have got out my phone and started doing like Reddit or something like that.
He would have started
Like,
diddling on his phone.
I got to that point in the movie where I was like, I'm checked out. Like I'm done with it. Like it's too long. There's too many different stories that I feel like didn't matter, that didn't really leave an impact. Like I said, Robert Pattinson is easily the takeaway role in this movie for me. Everybody else is like, okay. Tom Holland did pretty well, nothing outstanding, and the first guy, Bill Skarsgård's okay too, but everybody else is just kind of okay. I like the setting a lot. I thought that was interesting, like how they really stayed with it and the religious overtones with it. Took a very negative look on it, as you could see from the movie.
It's fun though.
Sorry,
But I do like how it's all dark most of the time. Like, it doesn't really give you much hope through it, which I like those kind of movies. But it just felt like a series of vignettes the whole time. Like, it's just like, boom, be sad, be sad, be sad, be sad. And there's like the connecting line is very, very faint. Like, there's not a very good through line through this movie, and that's what really took me out of it. So I'm giving this movie a 4.
Damn. buddy.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's sad.
it's below average to me. Like, if somebody said, like, let's watch Devil all the time, I would pick just about any movie to not watch this movie.
This
again.
or Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Oh Brother
Shut
Where Art
up.
Thou?
I'm kidding. It's definitely,
100%.
it's definitely Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
But this button is out for a reason, and I do have to give an update on a previous score.
That's
It's gonna-
what you want to
because
do.
What a cop out.
Mason picked a movie called Whiplash that I rewatched recently, and boy, it holds up.
We're not even rewatching this.
We don't have the confetti cannon set up.
Sorry, guys.
It is. My hands were still sweaty at the end of the movie when I knew what was going to happen. It's
The
incredible.
confetti cannon is currently in Price's pants right now.
Love.
So,
But I love that movie. Just wanted to give an update that thoroughly love that movie. It's one of my
I
favorites.
know you
now.
don't often
Love
want to do
it.
too much work other than cutting off the ends of this, but can you put a timestamp in here that says unreasonable Whiplash review?
I didn't give a review. I'm just giving like a score update. Just
well,
to say,
rather
like,
unreasonable Whiplash
I mean,
score
I didn't
update.
realize we could do score updates.
No, I know. This
Yeah.
is me.
well,
Apparently
this
we
one's a 10 though for me.
we can just
So,
do that
like,
willy nilly now.
Like if
so.
I'm going from like a 7 to a 6, like I don't know if that really merits.
Ah,
it.
have you
Yeah.
watched the other
regular
guys?
updates.
dropped it a point for me. No big deal. We gotta see what did the critics think about this. This movie had a lot of rave and wonder.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
I didn't do my job on the homework.
And
but
keeping it in mind that this is like a Netflix original, so
Right, so the critics hate it
generally-
already.
Yeah, I was gonna say generally these can't be too shiny
Yeah.
right off.
Ooh.
But
Yeah, tomato meter is at 64% and audience is at 79. Wow, critics.
they don't like dark things.
They don't
Yeah.
like it. Critics don't like it dark until they do.
Yeah.
Listen how they phrase this as a critic's consensus. The devil all the time's descent into darkness can be harrowing to the point of punishment, but it's offset by strong work from a stellar cast.
I mean, I
That
agree
doesn't
with
make
the second
sense. That
part.
like the
No.
first sentence is like good stuff, like it's a harrowing descent into darkness. Then but
Well-
it's like oh, but
Well,
it actually
well, that
I
doesn't
think
makes sense.
necessarily
most people don't read that as
Positive.
good.
Right, people
to-
see that as they're like, yeah, and here we go, and we're going into the dark tunnel, and we know it.
It's just I thought it was weird how they phrased it because
And it's
Well, critics are always
it's a dark
weird.
movie, but there's like almost no night scenes.
I
Like,
know.
There's the dad killing himself at night, and I think that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
All
Like
the prayer scenes and the dog on the we didn't even talk about the dog getting crucified.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that
that
was
was just, that was
crucified
shock
on
and
there.
all right there.
Yeah.
That was
I
wild.
take it back. Put me out to a 7.
7
Movie
because the
doesn't-
dog died. And Fido died.
Yeah.
you're actually knocking it down half a point for
No,
that.
I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Alright.
That
Well,
scene does suck though.
I was
but-
say, Dylan, what do we have next going on?
Boy,
Go
we
ahead and
cannot
cue
wait
us
to
up.
spin that.
Oops.
Where's the wheel?
It's over here, but we don't need it.
We can't do
We
it
don't
yet.
need it. What do you mean? No, we're. I'm so fucking good at acting.
No, you're not.
God, why am I not acting? No, yeah. So we finished the wheel.
It's done. We lit it on fire.
We lit it on fire with all of our great picks this season, which means it'll be coming back this coming season. But before we get into
It's in
next
the
season,
trash.
oh,
Trash
no.
fire.
No, it's the best.
Dumpster fire.
I-
Yeah, exactly.
I would trade most of the people on this podcast for the wheel if I had to.
Yeah, without
If
question.
it was just me and the wheel,
yeah.
and
what
I
you had to contribute, Price? Tick, 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 tick.
Exactly. I would do that. But no, since we're at the end of the season, I know, God, what a ride it's been into this harrowing descent of darkness.
But with a stellar
With a
cast.
stellar
cast, though. So we're going to be getting into our fun little extracurricular content here shortly. Make sure to stay tuned. Bro,
Stay tuned in.
Cut that. Yeah, so make sure to stay tuned for our upcoming end of the season content, where we look back on not 1 but 2 seasons worth of delightful goodies, and we give our thoughts on best of, worst of, and all that.
Decadent goodies.
All sorts of accolades and all that such. But
It goes all the way back to game night.
game night.
50 movies or so.
Rachel McAdams has a butt. Make sure to tune in for that. But otherwise, if you want to you want to know when that's going to come up, make sure to hit the bell. Make sure to subscribe because God, we're putting out a lot of good content for you. We're watching all sorts of movies, guys. We're watching all sorts of movies, and maybe you don't even have to, but some of them we actually recommend that you do. To figure out if this is that movie, let us know in the comments below. Is this a movie you wish that you hadn't watched, or that you're like, I could maybe have passed this. And get sure just to give us a thumbs up because I don't know. Apparently it helps and it makes us feel good, you know. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
make us feel good.
So until next time,
So, yeah. Until next time, and then on
make us feel good.
the end of the season,
Make me
you know,
feel good.
make you feel good, and squirt.
Bye.
Bye.
That
Make
was-
me squirt.
Yeah.